cool. That's definitely a positive song. Yeah. Upbeat, positive, great message there. So you spending the time out in LA and doing all the gigging and everything for 10 years in the LA area and coming back here to Pittsburgh. And getting into the local music scene here in Pittsburgh, going out. When did you start, gigging, I guess?
Well, I moved here, I was pregnant, and then didn't really do much with music. I had a baby. Was just starting to pick up my guitar again, and then the second baby came along.
What time frame is this?
They're 2 years apart.
No, I mean the what year are we talking
this
about?
was 8 years ago.
Okay.
So then when the second one was about 2, I started getting out, just doing some like acoustic stuff around town, and then I hooked up with the Western Pennsylvania Blues Society, they're called, and started doing some blues gigs and stuff, and decided to get a band together. And I've done some gigs with some other people too, with some other bands around town. I play with The Cause, which is like a Pittsburgh jam band sometimes. Yeah, started getting the band together, and I guess that was about 3 years ago.
Three years ago? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the reason I was asking, I do the farmers market up here in Washington, and I saw that you had played like right about the same time that I did. It was 2005, something like that, or 2004. So
yeah, I think I've done 3 of them maybe.
Yeah, yeah. So and they do. That's a pretty cool place. And Harry does a great job. Harry Funk, yeah. So when you were getting back out into the local music scene and not knowing anybody, I guess, did you know people in the area? Did you have friends? Did you just kind of move to this? You live locally here in Washington, so did you know anybody locally in the area, or
we moved right to this area because of my husband's job. So he got a job offer, and he knew a couple people that he used to work with at that job, so he ended up knowing a couple of people at work, but I didn't know anybody.
Is he a musician?
No.
No,
physicist.
Oh, okay.
But no, I didn't know anybody, and then I started meeting some other mommies, hanging out with other mommies and babies and stuff, and eventually just started
covering Barney tunes.
No, although I did play at the preschool a couple times.
I've done that. I've gone into like pre-K and kindergarten, and done it. It's kind of fun. I mean, the kids, they love it.
It's fun when your kids are part of it.
Yeah, yeah.
But I just started going out to see bands and going out to some jam nights and meeting some people that way.
Yeah.
And some friends and sitting in with other people's bands and getting to know people.
Yeah, because I growing up in this area, and I kind of did the opposite, where I moved away, went to Boston, different places, and that's tough to kind of, especially when I remember going to Boston, trying to figure out, what's really going on, where do you go, where do you play, and it's always politics anywhere, no matter what you do, as far as like in the industry, there's always the, who knows who and that kind of stuff. So I was just, like
Jim Donovan, who's on my CD, is actually one of the first people I contacted because I didn't know anybody. I'm like, well, Rusted Roots from Pittsburgh, so I'll give him an email. So I sent him, and I've kept in touch with him ever since, and loved his drumming, and asked him to play on the CD, and he's like, sure,
Yeah, that
sounds great.
That's cool. Yeah, it was back in the early '90s. When I first started doing some of the solo stuff, and I played a gig at the Beehive, and they were just starting to break about that point, and I didn't know who they were. They played the festival at the South Side, and then they just, mid '90s, they just blew up real big, and were everywhere, and opening up for Zeppelin and stuff. So yeah, the Gathering Field, and Rusted Root, and the Clarks. That's when you think about Pittsburgh music, you also think of Grishecki, and you also think of Donnie Iris, and they're Pittsburgh music scene. That defining that is kind of tough. to really put a label on it. You can go to a different part of the country like Seattle and you could say, oh, well, this is the kind of thing that was going on there, and this is the kind of thing that was going on there. But it's really difficult to kind of put a label on what the sound is that's coming out of Pittsburgh. They're probably the biggest sound band that came out.
Well, it's good to have some diversity though, too. You know?
Oh, yeah.
It's different.
Yeah. My dad was also a musician,
Oh,
a
yeah.
jazz drummer, and he played around the Pittsburgh area, and so I kind of know a lot of people from that perspective because of he was a jazz drummer and he had a band, psychedelic jam band
Oh,
in
yeah.
the 70s. Marshmallow Steam Shovel was the band, so that kind of gives you an idea. They were into the Cream and that whole kind of thing, and I'll have to I'll get you a copy of the tunes that they did. It's, obviously they had a lot of fun in the studio. But anyway, so you're playing at Moondogs tonight.
Yep.
And playing around the Pittsburgh area. Is that your favorite place? Is that where you generally tend to book gigs?
That's a good place. I mean, we like that place a lot. Moondogs. They get a lot of national acts through there, especially blues. It's it's just a very friendly, fun kind of place. We played Petey's Pub in Squirrel Hill sometimes. Thunderbird Cafe, played a few times. The Follows. And we played up here in Cannonsburg a couple times at McGrogan's Tap Room.
Okay. But here in Washington?
I don't know. You got any suggestions?
No. Well, that's my mission, actually. I'm on a mission from God, as they say, in the Blues Brothers. Yeah. So the local music scene, the place that I would, the Tuscan Tavern, is formerly Maggie's. That seems to be the place where a lot of people play.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but yeah, the music scene here is. The Big Room used to be. I think it's more of a dance club now. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of places here locally, so.
Yeah, get on that and let me know.
Yeah, Dan Baker plays a jazz thing. We're doing some shows up at the, I take the Bradford Lounge. I mean, they have entertainment, but a lot like for original music is what I'm leaning towards, not cover band type things. So. What would you want to play another song for us? Something else we can dig into? And this is Patti Spadaro on